pizza soup. My mother started making us a version of this recipe when I was a little girl, and she thought it was a great opportunity for us to eat something healthy and delicious while thinking it was pizza. This recipe is chock full of vegetables, but tastes absolutely delicious. This is a one-pot dish. You can get it and set it and forget it and let it stew. It will just get more and more delicious. But it's also something that can come together very, very quickly. Not a lot of room for error, which I love. I would be using my trusty Dutch oven, but you can definitely do this in a traditional pot as well. So let's get to cooking.
We're gonna start off with some tomato sauce, sliced olives, onion, 3 squash or zucchini, some ground beef, and some pepperoni.
Now, I used to make my own sauce for this, which you absolutely can do. And I would get a can of tomatoes and blend it with garlic and onion and basil, a little bit of olive oil and some Italian seasoning, and use that. Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the price of canned tomatoes have gone up exponentially. It used to be a more economical option as well. So in this recipe, I have opted to use a pre-made marinara sauce, which you can absolutely use. This is much more economical than making it myself, and I think it tastes pretty darn good.
The first thing we're going to do is get our ground beef, and we're going to lightly pat it dry and then season it with some salt and some pepper. Over medium-high heat, we're going to put our dry and seasoned beef into the pot. You can do this in big chunks and then slightly break it apart with a wooden spoon to make sure that you're getting all of the beef browned evenly. While the beef is browning, we're going to get our onion ready. So I'm just going to rough chop it after peeling it and put it in my handy dandy food processor to make sure it gets chopped evenly into bite-sized pieces. We're going to check back in on our beef, which is browning nicely. I used 80-20. You want to use something that has a higher fat because we're going to actually cook the onions in this. We'll add in our onions and then hit it with a little bit of salt and start the sauteing process. Just want to make sure those are getting evenly distributed and start to turn translucent. While the onions are browning, we're going to prep our squash or zucchini. You can really use either in this recipe. So I cut my ends off and then chunk it and place them in the food processor to become bite-sized pieces. You want them small, both so that they can cook evenly, but also because this is a soup, you're going to be eating it with a spoon. We'll check back in on our onions and make sure they've become translucent, and then it's time to add in our squash or zucchini that we have just pulsed in the food processor. So we'll put all of that in, give it a good stir, season it a little bit with either some Italian seasoning or I like a little bit more of a kick, and make sure those are evenly distributed so that they all start to cook evenly. And if you all have any little sous chefs in the kitchen, the leftover zucchini tops are an excellent treat for them. They absolutely adore when I chop vegetables because it always means treat time. Once our zucchini have been cooked thoroughly through, they'll have reduced quite a bit and you'll have some liquid in the bottom of the pot. Now it's time to add in our tomato sauce, and we'll give that a stir to make sure it's evenly incorporated throughout the dish. Now because this is a soup and we want it a little bit more brothy than a traditional marinara, we're going to fill our jar up with water. We'll give it a good shake to get all of those delicious bits of tomato out of the bottom of the jar, and then pour it into our soup pot, just giving us the right consistency for a soup. And of course, I always save my onion skins, pressed garlic, and vegetables in a freezer safe bag to make my vegetable or chicken beef bone broths. I'll link that video here if you guys want the recipe. Few finishing touches here. We're going to slice our pepperoni into bite-sized pieces. You can obviously use salami or omit this if you want just a simpler version of the soup, but pizza to me means pepperoni as well, so we're going to slice our salami into bite-sized pieces and then add it to our pot. Finishing touches here, we'll add in our drained can of sliced black olives. I think this just gives it a nice texture, a little bit of meatiness with the olives, a little bit of saltiness as well, so add those in and give it a good stir. Now it's time to simmer, so place our lid on and let that simmer for at least 30 minutes, but you can really put this on low and allow it to simmer all day. Those flavors are just going to get richer and richer. When you're ready to serve, simply ladle some of the soup into a bowl, and now you can top it with some Parmesan cheese, which is what I'm doing here, or mozzarella. I've adapted this recipe and added and omitted things throughout the years. This is a simplest version of the soup that I really love. You can definitely look at adding things like pasta to it if you would like, but this makes it a very hearty and healthy keto-friendly meal, which is fantastic and the kids will love, as well as any other picky eaters, because it's pizza. And who doesn't love pizza?
Thank you guys so much for stopping by and taking a bite of the afternoon macaroon with me. I'm Coco. If you want more recipes, please check out our videos that are posted every Tuesday to feed our bodies, and we have videos posted every Friday to feed our souls.